Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this webinar webcast that we're doing. We're very excited to be here with Cameron Balash. And Cameron, welcome to our web podcast series. It's great to have you on board today.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here and be a part of it.
Yeah, and Happy New Year to you. It looks like it's going to be a great one.
Yes, it does. It's already off to a fantastic start.
Sure is. We're here to talk a little bit about, as we look at the BRIM opportunities, or we look more at how you can get more out of your BRIM solution by connecting it to the back end. One of the places that I think we miss is thinking about payments, because as we all know, subscriptions are great, but you actually have to collect some cash. So we're going to talk about some unique opportunities here that Payteros brings to the table to allow our customers and allow you as customers to really innovate in this space. Next slide. Why are we here? Well, let's talk about what's going on. We have these new service and business models and how the world is changing. We know that there's a traditional model focused on transactions, where you buy something. In the old days, we used to just buy, you buy a car, you buy a phone, or you buy a medical device. And it was a one-time transaction. And what we're finding or what's evolving in the world, thanks to a number of different things, is this idea of new business models. Traditionally, we've heard of subscription models. We know those all from the past, but this is really about a lot more than that. It's about usage models, revenue sharing, the continuous monetization of a relationship between a customer and the business that they're dealing with, whether it's on things like price per month, price per use, volume tiers. We also talk a little bit about replenishments. Think about Chewies.com. It's really a replenishment model where Chewies offers pet food and you're just replenishing your pet food. It could be for your Keurig, it could be for coffee. There are a lot of different replenishment models, and of course, many of them are automated now because of IoT. So this model becomes more about managing the journey, managing the experience from end to end and ongoing, rather than managing individual transactions. And so as a result, we see how that's changing in different ways. For us, it's really this dynamic or this circle, and we think about it all the way from the front end or the beginning, and it's this circle idea of starting with customer engagement, which is a highly customer-driven model, and it has to be flexible. So starting with customer engagement, how they want to engage with you, whether it's online, phone, through a mobile device, many different ways, and then being able to create and manage the solutions that they want while executing the commerce in the way they want. Think about your ability to bundle cable, internet, phone service together with other applications that you may want to have. You want to be able to create the one that makes sense to you. You want flexible delivery and fulfillment. You may want to get a physical product in addition to a service. When do I want to receive them? How do I want to receive them? And being informed, billing and invoicing, and not just unified. I'll call it unified, but it's really about getting it the way you want it, getting it the way the customer wants it, and then flexible payments, and finally privacy security. Today, we're going to focus on this idea of flexible payments and collections because of the way things are working. Traditionally, a lot of companies spend a lot of time on the right-hand side of this chart, really focused on, how do I make commerce easy, give people the opportunity to bundle the way they want dynamically, and have a vision into the supply chain and the logistics, whether it's digital supply chain. For gamers, that's about how do I get the latest DLC, the latest upgrades. For other people, about entitlements, how do I manage the digital content that I'm entitled to? But at the end of the day, you actually kind of, I guess, Cameron, people have to pay for it, right?
That's a small detail that often gets overlooked, but yes.
Absolutely. And so today we're going to, Cameron's going to take us through and talk a little bit about the payment piece. And we know that integrated processes are key. If we look down here, I'm not going to go detailed in, but look down here on the bottom right-hand side. How are we generating these payments? How are we collecting the money? And then how do we manage disputes, payments, and credit management? So here on the far right-hand side, we're going to spend some time really diving into how SAP, Bramasol, and Payteros can bring to you a flexible payments and collection system that allows you to really take advantage of the digital solutions economy. So Cameron, welcome. And I look forward to hearing a little bit more about, who is Payteros and what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, thank you, John. We're excited to be here and to have the opportunity with you all and to work within this space. So Payteros is a services and solutions company that was founded to basically, we believe that companies, large enterprise corporations should have more control over their payment platforms. We think that they should have the ability to reduce overall costs, optimize payments, have flexible solutions, and really have a partner that thinks of them first. And we really work with them to see what is best for them specifically, as we know these large enterprises all like to work the way they want to work. And so we're working with them to give them those capabilities and those opportunities to maximize and create efficiencies in the products they want to use. So we have a lot of experience in this space. We have spent a lot of time specific in the SAP ecosystem around payments integration and consulting. And when it comes to BRIM, we're very excited about the opportunities because it gives these corporations the abilities to not only create a reoccurring revenue stream, but really provide a better customer experience on products and solutions that they're offering.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when you make it easy to pay, that makes my life, makes the customer's life easier, and certainly will make it more likely that they continue to engage with you, right?
That's correct. And if you think about just the payments landscape over the years, particularly, the last 5 years, historically, there's been this B2B and B2C. And if you think about it, if you think who the buyers are, most of them are B2C buyers in their personal life, and they're looking for the same type of experience in their professional life. So I think there's this convergence between B2B and B2C that from a supplier standpoint, the easier you make things, have the ability to buy things, the more they're going to buy, and that's where we help them focus. And it's beyond just credit cards now. So historically, it's been how do I accept credit cards or an ACH payment? But if you look at all these other alternative payment methods and ways to accept payments, it's really transformed over the last 5 years, and we're helping those companies through that transformation in that journey. And so we're really focusing in 3 core areas: commerce enablement, payments optimization, and enterprise modernization. So if you think about all these, I just mentioned payment types. So think of commerce enablement as how can they get the ability to take advantage of all these products that are available out in the market. And so we're working with these companies that have buy now, pay later, invoice financing, subscription billing, whatever it is, on a payment type, and we're helping them maximize those efficiencies within the ERP system. So it goes much further beyond just getting the auth out and the auth request out and the response back. This is we think of a full transaction lifecycle when we're enabling this commerce. The payments optimization is really where we're creating the efficiencies within the ERP system. So again, there's ways to accept payments, but the real heart of where the payments make the most sense is within the corporate enterprise or within the ERP system. And how are those workflow automations working? How's the multi-capture, reconciliation, all the way through settlement? What are the smart workflows, and where can we help them reduce cost? Reduce time to accept payments? How can that integrate better with your tax systems, with your supply chain? So this payments optimization is really about not just how do I accept payments, but how do I get the most out of accepting these payments and create a better experience, not only for my clients, but also for my employees who are having to use these systems. And then the third is enterprise modernization. So there's this massive digital transformation that's occurring right now, whether it's moving to S/4HANA, whether it's upgrading all your systems around payments, whatever it is. Where we focus is the core of the payment platform. So as you go through the digital transformation, we want to make sure that the payments platform that you're utilizing is going through that same transformation, because a lot of times it's forgot about. And when they go live or they start losing functionality, it creates problems. So we're working with these corporations to make sure that they're thinking about their payments landscape as they're going through upgrading their SAP systems or their e-com systems, or moving into global regions or expanding into other divisions. So there's a lot that is happening through the enterprise modernization, and we're helping them through that payments journey.
Yeah, I know that, when we spoke earlier, I'm going to focus in on, something interesting to me. I mean, the commerce enablement is awesome. There's so many different opportunities, but the concept of payments optimization is a place where I think people, miss an opportunity to improve efficiencies, as you say here. I think of a customer I spoke with not long ago who, is a subscription business for, call it home automation and security, and everything's a subscription. And when they, what they realized was through the process they were automating the payments, but what they saw was a tremendous increase in banking fees. And so, that's a place where I think, you guys, can help companies really take advantage of, ways to optimize, bundle, and do some other things. So I think there's a lot behind this, and I'm anxious and interested to see more.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a great use case of what you just mentioned there, is because I was just on the phone this morning with a global enterprise talking exactly what you're mentioning there. Is there, everyone is taking payments and has for years. And a lot of them have just almost succumbed to, well, this is how it has to work. It's a manual process here. It's a cumbersome. It costs me more money because I have to do these several steps. And so we're really working with them and creating those efficiencies to, when we say reduce costs, it's not just how can we help reduce interchange, but it's how can you reduce cost internally? How can you maximize and streamline those processes?
Right.
And so when it comes specific to BRIM now, this gets very interesting, and we're very excited about this because it goes back to this B2B and B2C process where BRIM allows these companies B2B companies to act more like B2C, which obviously increases their buyer base. And so we work within BRIM from a standpoint of can we take the knowledge we know around payments and how to create all those efficiencies, and how can we apply those to BRIM. So some very specifics here is we enhance BRIM from a payment process from, if you're in the payments industry, it sounds simple, but these are really complex processes that have to occur to maximize the most value. So on-demand reoccurring payments on a mass run, which if you think about subscription billing, you think about, well, everyone's hitting it on a monthly, quarterly, daily basis. But if you want to do that on mass run, there's some deficiencies there, but a lot of companies want to do that. So we've helped them create tools that allow them to do that. There's enhanced settlement capabilities. There's optimize your traditional and alternative payment process. And as I mentioned, there's far more payment types now than just your average credit card or your ACH methodology. Right. Reconciliation is a huge point. So as you see these companies implementing BRIM and accepting more payments that are digital, there's a massive problem on the back end on how you reconcile all these different payment types coming in from different regions, different times, different currencies, different processors. And it's a very manual process on the back end that people are having to go through that and literally compare Excel spreadsheets at some point. So we've developed an auto reconciliation tool that allows them to input. We take all the input data from the bank file, from the processor, from the SAP system, and we combine it and have it make sense. So it's an auto reconciliation tool. So it almost can completely remove the entire manual process from that standpoint. There's on-demand payment in FICA. So if you're utilizing BRIM today and you know, your CSR or account manager gets a call and says, I want to add this payment type, it's not always that easy, just the way that BRIM was designed. So we allow that on-demand payment, which again, you're not losing the buyer as it's happening. You're giving them the ability to maintain that engagement. And then, as you guys know better than anyone, the compliance is such a big piece of this. And so we help enhance that compliance from a PCI standpoint, from a, you know, now think about subscription billing, you got to store the card somewhere. You got to store the payment data somewhere. So we help them make sure that it's stored properly, support multiple token formats, and that they maintain, we help them align themselves to maintain their PCI compliance.
Yeah, and that's a great point. You know, I always think of that one when it comes to, you know, you want to focus on, you know, as a business who's innovating, you want to focus on your core business and not become a security expert in how to maintain control of customer payment information, right? So, you know, that's a great service offering, and something I know, you know, companies are thinking a lot about.
Correct. And if you think about the what's out there, go back to the commerce enablement piece, you know, tokenization is a piece of that. And all these companies you can see here on the right, Fiserv, FIS, Chase, everyone has a token solution, and getting that to work within the ERP can be a challenge sometimes. So that's where we're utilizing, you know, all these great products that are out there and available, but we're utilizing them in a way that make them more usable for these large enterprises.
Right. That, and you also have the you know, a lot of times now it's that multi-factor authentication that require for payments too. So yeah.
So so the way BRIM works, and this is just a little more detailed slide here because there's obviously a lot of different modules within BRIM. This is where we really get into the heart on the value that Payteros can help add to the BRIM solution, because these are the things that, if you think about subscription billing, it's like, oh, I just need to provide a payment type, and I know once a month I'm going to get my card hit for whatever I'm subscribing to. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of people don't know, other than the people having to do it within the ERP system, there's a lot of nuances in there. And I'll just give you a couple examples. You know, you see our logo in each module here, and that means that we are providing some enhanced functionality to make the solution work in a way that allows the BRIM customers to adopt it more easily. So like customer master and business partner, we provide and we allow these companies to have a real-time tokenization via the API call, which is not standard in a lot of the processes. Order entry, there's real-time authorization and passing the result back to BRIM for the processing, which to you and I and people that understand payments sounds like, yeah, that should happen, but it's just not out of the box. It doesn't happen that way. And these are things that the companies are looking for. On the settlement process, you know, we provide a real-time integration with the payment card billing and process with various PSPs for the mass run. We allow exception handling during the process. You know, as you're accepting a mass amount of payments, they're not all going to work the way you want them to. In a perfect world, yes, but we all know that things break and don't work, and there's always exceptions. So we provide some exception handling during the settlement process for reruns and resends of the settlement, which, again, if you're in there and know it, that's a huge value to these companies, because again, it's just a lot of manual work that is having to happen without us in there helping them create these efficiencies. And then I think a big one is just the reporting. You know, from a CRM team to research payment activities, where typically they haven't done subscription billing before, and now they need to go back and look at it. So we provide that functionality. It enables treasury teams to have more detailed level of reporting on settlement batches and files. It enables master data management team with the report like stored payment methods or expired payment methods. Again, it's just all these little nuances in there that we're helping create these efficiencies. So when you do implement BRIM, it does allow you to have the same payment processes and efficiencies and maximize all those processes, so that as you use BRIM, you're able to expand it out into other areas of your business, which ultimately our main goal is to help you drive more revenue and reduce as much cost as possible.
Absolutely.
And then,
I was going to say,
I
was just going to say, and you're hitting right on it. There's a lot of benefits that come out of this. I mean, we talk about the technical side of it, and that's great, but as I like to say, what's the big so what here, and how do your clients benefit?
Yeah, so look, we think of payments 360. So it's not just getting an auth out and a request back, or a request out and an auth back, right? So it's data compliance and security, right? So as we talked about the tokenization, multiple formats, how can those work properly within BRIM and SAP, which is so important because you're storing payment methods now. We optimize, our clients are seeing the optimization in the payments integration. When we say seamless payments integration, it is how we are maximizing the SAP functionality to the fullest. Mm-hmm. So you're benefiting from your SAP investment while maximizing all the payments opportunities you have out there. And that end-to-end integration can be very complex, but when you get it right, it is so powerful, and it is so helpful for not only your customers but your employees as well. Right. We give them the ability for specific payment processes. Like I mentioned, the mass run, scheduled payments, on-demand payments. We're helping them reduce payment processing costs. These can be interchange rates. These can be manual processes. It can be standardizing implementation, where we can help reduce some implementation cost of once you integrate payments in one region, we can replicate that in another region across your BRIM platform. So you're not having to keep paying for it as you expand your solutions into other regions. And then we talked about the reporting tools. As we all know, data is so important these days, and making sense of it, and being able to extract the right information from a payment standpoint into the right formats to analyze that data is invaluable right now. Particularly, I think as we all know, the economy is going, everyone's looking for how can they save money and reduce some costs. Well, here's some very simple ways that do it for small costs can have a very big impact.
Yeah, and all of these are fantastic ways that customers can benefit. And I think, the other thing is a couple of, right, as a cloud-based application, you guys make it easy for companies to continue to upgrade because you provide pretty standard APIs to interface back into SAP Core, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point there, John, because if you think about, BRIM is, as you mentioned, a cloud-based solution, and your standard ERP system is historically not, right? And so BRIM has really impacted the SAP credit card payments workflow in a very positive way, meaning it's helping it bring it further along. But the challenge is, a lot of times the core ERP is still on-premise or, has been so customized over the years that it hasn't made that same journey. So we're bridging that gap, and we're making sure that we're giving our clients the ability from a payment standpoint to utilize these solutions like BRIM while still benefiting from their core legacy ERP system, whether that's S4 or ECC, whatever it is. But we're making sure that that gap is covered so it works the way they want it to work while utilizing the latest and greatest solutions.
Absolutely. And as SAP moves into that whole process of the public cloud, it becomes even more important. So, what I love about what you presented here, Cameron, and thank you so much, is, we use this framework that started a number of years ago with comply, optimize, and transform. And really, I think the approach and what you've presented here fits this model so well, because if you think about, in the comply stage, what I'm really trying to do is create this foundation, right, where I'm able to collect money and do payments. And maybe you can talk a little bit about how you guys approach this, but the way we approach it is, allow companies to establish this digital solutions economy and grab a baseline and then work on optimizing those processes, integrating them end to end, implementing other customer solutions that allow you to become more and more flexible. And of course, all leads to that idea of transforming your business so that you can be much more nimble in the marketplace. And it seems like you guys kind of have that same mental approach.
Yeah, 100%. We take the approach with our clients is we get asked all the time. I mean, what are the best practices we should be looking at? That's what our clients are asking us. And we have the experience and expertise of having been doing this for, our consultants, some of them have been doing it 25 years. We have the expertise of what those best practices are. And I think very important here is it's an approach that we're not tied to a specific payment processor, a specific product, or a specific solution. We really do come in as a client-first approach and say, here's what we think you need to do. You've already established your payments process. And I love your diagram here. How can we optimize that, right? Reduce costs, create the efficiencies, do those things. And then finally, to your point, how do we transform that? Like how do we help drive innovation? How do we help give you the ability to take advantage of companies that are driving innovation without completely disrupting your core revenue flow? And so that's really at the heart of what we're doing. So we absolutely align 100% with what you have laid out here.
Fantastic. So, I think there's a couple of key takeaways here from my perspective that I heard. And, I'll give you a chance to, we like to talk about the big so what, and I'll give you a moment in a second, Cameron, to kind of give your big so what of, what's one or two things that people ought to be thinking about. But from our perspective, this has been great. I think it adds insights into helping people understand how to enable the digital solutions economy and focus on an area that can now become an enabler as opposed to something that you think about on the back end. And so, as we wrap up, Cameron, what's a couple of one or two key points that you want people to keep in mind and walk away with?
Yeah, I think the number one key point we try to get across is we want to let them know they have options, and there is functionality that can be provided that they're not aware of yet. And we see it so many times where these large corporations are just stuck in, they think that this is the way things have to work because that's the way they've been told and have utilized payment processing for years. And we want them to know that we're here to help, and we believe that they have the ability to take more control over that, and we can help them do that.
Fantastic. Well, Cameron, thank you so much for spending your time with me and with our audience. And I look forward to further collaboration in the future on maybe some specific opportunities. And thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.